into the trackway. So I have a corner cut here. What I'm going to do is actually put this on a base, and then it will be glued there, and then the plug will go in and out, and I'll be able to maintain the track on that. So that's just a little bit of fun I was playing around with. So that's what it kind of looks like from a distance. It's coming. I'm about to put down the grass. Oh, I should show you that. Again, I'm using the grass mat, same thing. I just cut out small sections. I don't know if that will... Let me see if I can... I can't really focus, but you can see I just put grass mats along different sections. Then what I do is I'll come in on the green flats and tie in the other grass. So it just gives me some variation in height. I have it down there as well. I'm just sort of filling in the areas around. I don't do everything with the grass mat. I just do raised areas so I can have the variation. Again, here I have a pathway. I did this with dirt. Now what I do is I just sort of varnish away the grass, put the dirt down, and then what I'll do is I'll bring more grass up over top, so it'll actually come up over the edges of the dirt. So you don't have to be perfect with that. You just put it down so you know where you want to cover, and then later on you can fill it in. Looks kind of like that when you get down to the ground level. Again, just use a tank as a gauge. I'll have a gate through there, so that'll hide some of it, but that's where I'm going with that. And I'm just about to cut the grass sections that cover all those. And what I'm going to do over there is, because they are so flat and large, I am going to use a grass mat. I'm going to use a grass mat not like this one. It's very high and sort of tall, because I want the houses to go on top of that. And this stuff here, it's got a lot of depth, so I don't need that under a house because I'm just going to cover it. So I will show you. Put it back down there. I will show you the grass mat I'm going to use. I have a couple of them. I buy lots of them. They are 2x4 grass mats. They're not the... Some people may have seen grass mats like this. This is a large grass mat, but it's made of, basically made of flock mashed down into a very flat layer. There's almost no depth to this at all. It does have sort of a fuzzy feel, but there's no depth to it. So get rid of that one. These ones here are 2 to 3 mil static grass. Now it has a color variation. There's probably about, I know they have medium, light, and I think a little bit of burnt grass in this one. This one's a little bit darker, so there's a lot more medium, just a highlight of light and burnt, and then you can go even darker. So I buy a whole bunch of different colors because I use them a lot. They're made by Heki. They're Kentucky bluegrass mats, they say, but this one's light green, that one's dark green, like I said. Yeah, they're really awesome. They're really cheap. They're only $8 for like 2x4, so you can essentially cover 8 full tiles, and boom, you're good to go. You're already better than just painting the board. So they're really cheap. You can get them at lots of places. So if you want to know specifically, will just email me. But what I wanted to say about them is, you open them up, and they're basically like this. They got a paper back, and the first thing you'll notice is that crap falls off them like you wouldn't believe. It's static grass. Now, what I do is, and I highly recommend this, is when you open it up, stand it on end, and just start gently, don't think inappropriate thoughts, but just sort of gently stroke the grass mat. And you're not going to wear away any areas. You're not going to make any bald patches. But just sort of stroke along the edges and open it up slowly as you do this. And what happens is you get off all of the excess static grass. Now you're going to think, why would I bother doing that? I want to leave it on the grass mat. Well, if you're going to leave it on the grass mat, it's going to come off anyways, but it's going to come off everywhere where you don't want it to, and it's going to come off at inappropriate times. So I suggest doing that, brushing the whole thing, and if you had a light brush, that would even work too. Just make sure you do it in an area where you don't mind getting a little bit of grass on things. So once you have all that done, put it in a pile. I just opened this because I was about to use it, then I decided to make a video. So, I mean, I just in about 10 seconds, I got literally a handful of static grass. If you know the size of those Gale Force 9 static grass things you can buy, I bet you I got enough to fill at least one of those, if not more. And that was just in a few seconds brushing it off. Now, I'm not really sure why that happens. I'm not sure if it's the process they use. But I find once you do brush that, you're good to go. It's not going to continue to come off. You may get a few thinner patches, but that's just variation in your grass. That's fine. Another thing too, where I don't just use these as is, I actually come and start adding my flock on top. You don't really care if there's a small little bald spot because you're going to cover it anyways. The reason that I like using these is because one, they get the paper back, so it makes it fantastic to glue down to your board. And two, when you start adding your layers on to add your depth, that gives you a nice variation, gives you a nice color underneath. And say when you do start playing or you're using it for months on end and you move a lot of minis across, or you're putting your buildings on and they're moving around a little bit and you're moving them, and the thing is, you're only going to wear your top layer away. You're never going to wear through the paper backing on this. So no matter what happens, you always are going to have a nice solid base, as opposed to over there in the other areas, the small areas, where you just have like a paint and your layers built up. Eventually, if you wore away in one spot, you could get to the base and you'd expose the green color underneath. Here, you're not going to wear through the paper. That's why I use this in the high traffic areas, I like to call it, like the big flats, and I don't use it in the other areas because it's not practical to cut it in little small little nooks and crannies. But it is great for these big large areas. Just take a paper template of your area, put it on here, trace around with a pen or a pencil, a gray pencil, whatever, and then just cut it out. And who cares if you have a little blue line, because you're going to cover it with stuff anyways. If you aren't going to cover it, then maybe use something that's a little less visible. So that's what I'm about to do. I'll stop the video now. It's like super long. It's going to have to be 2 parts for sure. But I'm going to cover this, and then I'll come back and kind of show you how I start building up the depth. Excuse me. And maybe I will start working on some of the bridge areas. So I'll show that. So this will be just like my other one. Lots of parts, lots of videos, and we'll see how we make out with this project and get this out. And fear not, even when I am done this project, I just got another project for 24 tiles, so it's going to be massive. It is going to have a ton of things. It's going to have building trees, it's going to have farm fields, mountains, you name it. It's going to have everything in it, so stay tuned for that. But focus is now on this project. It's a 9-tile project. I don't have a name for it, so feel free to fire names off, and we'll call it something. Whatever jumps in your head, and I mean, as long as it's appropriate and doesn't have an explicit in it, I'll start using that title, because I don't have a name for this. It's not anything, but I'll let you guys decide. So I will talk to you all later, and cheers.